Intergenerational trauma is actually unique in that it is the only trauma that's handed down our family line. So it happens within multiple generations of family members rather than it being a singular experience in one generation in one individual. And the ways in which this happens is at the intersection of our biology and our psychology. So it's very nuanced and complex on both ends, both the biological and psychological ends. But from our biological perspective, what's happening mostly is that we are a part of families where if trauma has actually been the lived experience of any individual in our family, we're going to take a parent as an example. It is likely that if they had to live with trauma for a long-standing period of time, that their bodies would have actually registered that they were in trauma in their genetic encoding. Doggies love to interrupt. Sorry about
It's all
that.
good.
um, so it would have actually been something that would have registered in their genetic encoding. Yeah, so when our parents conceive us, we actually inherit genes from both parents, which we know, right? But within those genes, we're not just inheriting a lot of the things that we traditionally believe we're inheriting, like phenotype and like hair color, eyes, and things of that nature. We're also inheriting some of the ways in which their genes turned on or off, meaning that this is called expression, gene expressions. We're inheriting a lot of those qualities also from our parents. And if their social environments were stressful and their genes, in essence, like re-expressed, as it's called in scientific language, if it re-expressed in order to adjust to their social environments, we would have also inherited some of those genetic markers. What that means from the perspective of like, okay, now I'm a person living in this world, what does that mean for me? Is that in essence, it would have created some level of emotional vulnerability or tenderness, right? That we tend to see really early on in life. But we also have to, like I mentioned, cross section that biology with our psychology. And, whenever we're born, now we have like so much that's happening in our lives. Perhaps that parent is still living under trauma. As a result, we have a parent that perhaps could miss attuning to their child in the ways that the child needs, miss social cues that the child needs the parent, and like maybe not be able to be as present in building the emotional foundation that this very tender child might need. And then in comes everything else in life, right? The child could go into the school system and experience bullying or go into their first teenage relationship and that, relationship is toxic or abusive. They can go out into the world and experience just a world where, perhaps because of a marginalized identity, they experience some level of discrimination. And so all of that just factors into the already tenderness that's present, making it so that now this person could possibly now experience their own trauma responses. And when we're talking about someone now experiencing their own trauma responses and coming from people that themselves were living with trauma, we call that intergenerational trauma.
It's such a powerful, complex constellation of symptoms and factors that it would almost be beautiful if we could be born with a roadmap, right? Your grandparents went through this. Your parents went through this. Culturally, you can expect this. And it's almost like if when we were young, somebody could say, oh, you're left-handed. So here's how you turn your paper to be more comfortable in a right-handed world. Here's sort of, oh, goodness.
Sorry.
Here's how you might want to think about your reactions, your responses, your preferences in the lens of knowing that we have some presets, actually, that we have ways that we might react or respond or more sensitivities to things